All right, man, we're ready to rock and roll. Let's jump in. Dave Elkington joining. You've got your host here, Gabe Larson. We're going to be talking about, is SaaS dead today, and basically the emergence of this idea of outcome as a service. So, Dave, before I let you talk, man, I want to see if I can flash this real quick because you don't have the best social posts, but every once in a while you do.
That just sounds competitive.
You do something pretty interesting, but yeah, check this one out. I don't know if can I pull it on the screen? Yeah, I think I can.
Might be too advanced for you.
Yeah. So this is just a week ago. It's super provocative. Yeah, look at that. Oh man, 2,000, almost 400 comments, 85. Oh, I didn't know I had 85 reposts. We should probably go.
Dude, I'm big. I'm a big deal. Like, if you're not sure, I'll tell you, I'm a big deal here. Here's the interesting thing about it. It has almost nearly 500,000 views. We've had almost 500,000 people. I don't know if you can see it from your side, but
look, man, it obviously
struck a chord. Yeah, that's right. It struck a chord here.
And so today we wanted to jump in again. Would love to make this as interactive as possible. So if you're on and you can write a comment, who you are, where you're from, I'd love to see it so we can get some more interactivity here. But Dave, it was fairly provocative. It was SaaS is dying, but it's not what you think. SaaS is dying. Would love to take today and see if we can just kind of talk through the posts and some of the feedback what you got. But I wanted to start big picture. Why SaaS dying? What the hell's going on there?
Dude, watch your mouth, man. There's kids on the show.
There is probably kids around here.
Probably kids in your background. No, look, the premise is behind this whole thing is SaaS was intended to be a service, right? So Benioff, when he created this whole new industry of software as a service, the whole premise is let's stop buying software and let's buy something that provides a service. And it's not like in essence, my post is saying we're not getting a service out of it. What we're actually doing is just buying more software. And what's worse is because of this new technology ecosystem, we're not buying one piece of software that, in the 90s when we'd buy, the Oracle CRM, you buy this whole ERP and you get everything. We're buying like 30 pieces of software that are a service, and they're just not a service. So when you buy this thing, what you're buying is a job. Like every one of these tools, you have to hire a Salesforce admin, a whatever admin. So it's not a service. It creates work.
I think that was probably the thing that, again, these 400 comments, I was reading through them actually just an hour ago. And I think that may be the point that struck the most. You kind of make this idea here basically. And so I'm just kind of looking at it. It's like for 20 years, SaaS sold software and called it a service, but it wasn't. It was just, this is a great line, actually. This was a license fee with the login screen. The customer still had to do the work to get the outcome that they wanted. And I think that was probably one of the biggest points where people were like, I think he might be right. Or I mean, there's some truth there.
No, and look, I'm as much a perpetrator. Like we built Inside Sales, and I mean, it was amazing, but man, it was complex. Like setting this thing up would take, we used to call it, what do we call it? We had a whole name for like how much work it was to set up a SaaS solution. Like you literally have to, you buy a solution, let's say you're paying $30K a year or $100K a year or whatever it is. And then you're hiring a person and you're paying them another $90K to manage that $30,000 system. Like that's not a service. That's a burden.
It's not what people actually wanted. I think and we bought this illusion, like when I buy a CRM, it's going to help me get customers, or when I buy a help desk, it was going to result, like I was going to, because ultimately, and you're the one who made this argument, but people, that was a little bit of the illusion. We bought the tool thinking we were getting the outcome or the job done, but then we were finding that it was more tools, more people. And don't get me wrong, SaaS, I think efficiency, we saw amazing gains, but we never did really get to this concept of what we want, which is, I think what you argue is
outcomes. People want outcomes. So like when we buy a piece of software, we're not looking for more work. What we really want is, I need appointments on my calendar. I need resolution. It's like hiring another person. Like think about, an SDR. When I hire an SDR, what am I really trying to buy? I want pipeline. I just need appointments on my calendar. I need opportunities. I need to be able to generate revenue. So
And I think you nailed it. You said here, and sorry, I really do love the post, but don't sell me a CRM, bring me customer. This is kind of your,
that's it. That's
don't
what I
give me a
want.
help desk, resolve my ticket. Don't hand me onboarding tools, onboard my people. And I think that's that outcome metric that we do all, that is what we wanted, but we were having a hard time getting there because, as you said, I got a CRM and then I had 50 admins and 100 people to manage it. And I still don't know if it got me the customers.
Well, and so here's the problem. When SaaS emerged, it was this revolution because it's like I didn't have to go through IT to get it bought. I could do it very fast, and it was super simple. So when it first started, like 98 to 2000, it did open up a whole new world for us. But then all of a sudden, this new playbook, it's like if I want to set up like a support team or an SDR team or something, I needed to buy like 4, 5, 10, 20, 30 different tools, and they stack up. I have to have a whole team to manage these things. So here's the shift. Here's what I think is happening right now.
Because you argue of this concept of like outcome as a certain. So you're seeing it's a shift.
That's the shift. That's the shift. Because technology should be providing outcomes. And so, and I think AI is actually beginning to enable that. The new agentic tools, the different agents, the idea is I should be able to buy a tool that's just like a teammate. Like I want to buy a tool that actually just puts count. In fact, there's a use case. So Signals is building something like this, but explain this because I think you're a consumer of this premise of outcomes of a service with like the AI SDR. It's not really an SDR. It's a lead response management SDR. You're at Signals. You run go to market, and appointments just show up on your calendar. Like the first time it happened, you're like, "This is magic. Like, how is this happening?"
Well, and it is such a mindset shift. This tool versus teammate concept, Dave, is still. If you looked at my weekly, and I probably need to write a little more about this because I now have about 5 cloud employees reporting to me. And as you know, I do weekly coaching sessions and we go through their, just like a regular SDR, I go through their transcripts and calls and make sure, because we want to improve things. But but the interface, there's no UI, right? Like they're
no, and why a UI is just work, right? A UI again is just more to do. So the premise of if you look at what's happening in the market, it started as, again, this software as a service. It wasn't that. So now people are repricing their technology. I mean, Salesforce.com, I did another post. This one was fascinating. I did a post that basically highlighted that Salesforce is shifting their pricing from subscription-based to token-based. And it's another example of people saying, no, I don't want to pay for just another piece of software. I need outcomes.
Tool, right? I mean,
That's right. I don't even own it. Yeah, I don't even own my software subscription. I'm basically just renting it, and I have to hire someone to manage it. If I leave Salesforce.com or HubSpot or anybody, I have nothing. I basically can export some data, and then I have to start over. So this is all kind of and showing how frustrated we are as consumers. So what AI is enabling, and I mean, it's kind of an obvious thing, but it's enabling people to just create multi-step workflows that do the job for me. I think vendors need to figure out how to create jobs, not like teammates. Vendors need to be able to solve a job, not a task. That's what we need to see in the market.
Yeah. Now some people argue on this concept, and I do want to go into pricing in a second. You kind of alluded to that, but when I think I'm looking at some of these comments now, and some people were like, "Hey, when you mean outcome, then shouldn't that be more like,
revenue lift?
If we deliver 2x or something, you pay us 4x, like that kind of true concept." But what you've kind of articulated in some of these responses is, no, when you think of it like a person, you hire a person to do an outcome. And if that outcome isn't achieved, you fire them, basically.
Just fire them.
Get rid of them. So that's kind of where you're arguing is a hire this cloud employee concept. And it does by all means have an outcome associated with it, because that is the way we hire people.
Yeah. So the problem with paying for revenue uplift is it seems great at first. You're like, hey, look, if you can generate, 20% more, I'll give you 10% of that. Like that seems like that's a no-brainer. But then it's like, okay, but what did you do? And what did we do? And it becomes almost an impossible task to actually monetize and price like a rev share or something like that, or cost savings. Like in support, it's like, okay, how do I, you can deflect now this many, support calls.
Yeah,
How do I pay for that?
Go further down that, because that there's a bunch of argument or comments, discussion on, well, hey, you obviously have some help desk tools, right, that are doing like price per resolution. You have people who are price per conversation, right? So that's even a different model. So you have like the true revenue model, and then you have probably not outcome concept, but a usage based. But to your point, that isn't really, that's actually causing a lot of confusion itself as well.
It is, because people are like, yes, I want to just pay for revenue. And it's like, okay, so what you're saying is you just want to outsource your job. You want to outsource your company. And that, again, conceptually, that would be great. If I could say, hey, look, I just want some software that generates revenue for me. And I don't want to think about it. I just want it to do my job. Again, in concept, it works, but we did this at Inside Sales. How do you actually monetize, and the minute it works, they're going to say, wait, why am I paying him 10%? It's too big. I need to pay him 1%. So in concept, it works, but in reality, I've just never seen that happen. But let me give you a contrast. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I just came from the world of customer experience, right? Where the worlds of Zendesks and people like that are trying that, not the revenue, but the price per resolution, and the 99 cents when only agentic AI is involved, and $2 or 50 cents when it's not. And I can do price per, and I'm telling you that it's hard. In that conversation, how many resolutions am I going to have? Well, I don't know, but we could figure it out. What do you mean? Like, how does my CFO figure it? Like, how does my CFO figure it out?
I can't. And so what I'm proposing is, we need to have jobs in a company that can be done by a technology, and it inevitably needs to be, the complexity of what we're talking about needs to be done with an AI of some sort, some multi-agent, very complex technology. But I want to say, look, I need it to do this entire job. I pay a human $60,000. And the rule of thumb is, what I'm seeing in the market, people will say, I'll pay a technology 10% of that, or 20%, somewhere between 10 and 20% of the human counterpart cost. And so,
interesting. So your argument is more like, let's simplify it and let's just hire a cloud employee to do
a complete job that has an outcome. And if that technology doesn't do it, fire the technology. And so think about it as almost like that BPO principle. It's like, okay, at first people are like, I'm going to hire support people. Well, it's really expensive. I don't have the time. I've got 40 support people or 200 support people or whatever it is, and I'm paying them, $40,000 a year, and then I need to have desks and phones, and I have to have technology. Then people are like, okay, forget that. I'm going to outsource this to the Philippines, and I can just pay, instead of $20 an hour, I can pay $9 an hour or $15 an hour, something like that. And they deal with all the infrastructure. That's the way you should think about technology. It's like, instead of outsourcing it overseas, I can lower my costs even further and control it much better with a technology that I'm basically hiring a teammate. I'm hiring people, AI, cloud employees or agents to do these jobs. And I have a fixed cost. So like the CFO doesn't have the problem. I'm like, okay, I'm paying, $500 a month, $10,000 a month, whatever it is.
Or I have 20 cloud employees. Like I have this fixed. I know what I have these people.
It's a fixed cost. I can predict it. And if it produces the outcome, just like I have an SDR that has a quota of 12 appointments a month. If he hits the number, she gets her bonuses. If she doesn't, she's fired. It's the same concept. It's the same concept.
It's pretty, it's funny. I mean, obviously we're in the thick of it here, but it's the tool teammate, like this is, it's pretty different, man. So anyways.
And let me reference back. And I've said this at a couple of, our previous podcasts. Microsoft, it was an author at Microsoft published an article called The Frontier. What was it? Do you remember the Frontier organization? And the premise is, it's not that AI is replacing us. It's replacing these jobs that don't need to be done by us. And as a result, we get promoted. And now we're managing. You actually said something at the beginning of the podcast here that actually was probably the most provocative, most interesting thing said today. Look, you can see, by the way, his head is your camera big enough? I don't know if your camera's big enough to hold that. No, you're like, look, I have 5 cloud employees reporting to me, and I have to do weekly review on their conversations. I have to go make sure they're doing their job correctly. So that is what that Microsoft article and put it. I don't know. We should post it. Someone post that. Production team post the article.
It's called the year the frontier the frontier firm is
the
born.
Year of the Frontier Firm. So if you're watching this, go look this thing up.
Great
and
one.
The premise of it is AI isn't replacing us; it's becoming a coworker. And there's this new ratio it's basically an employee to cloud employee ratio. So how many cloud employees or AI agents basically work alongside of us. And so you now have a team of 5 people working for you, 5 cloud employees, 5 agents doing a job. That is, and what that's going to allow us to do is create what we're calling an autonomous enterprise. Basically, rather than scaling with hundreds and thousands of people, we should be able to scale an organization. Every employee, basically gets promoted to be a manager, an orchestrator of these tools that we're getting outcomes out of. And again, if you're not getting the outcome, just like you would any BPO or any employee or team member, like you make a change.
Yeah. Look, man, I think it's a brand new idea for a lot of people. It obviously struck a chord. So again, we wanted to pull you on today, Dave, maybe talk through it a little bit. And I think that's super interesting. Some of these ideas, SaaS is dead. Is we kind of looked at wrap.
Did you see the question? Somebody actually, how outcomes of the service can handle situations where external factors, market, customer behavior, affect outcomes. So again, I'd love your take. I have an opinion here, but what's your take on that?
You hit me first and I'll add.
So again, how do they handle, external situations like, again, market conditions, customer behavior? It's the same way. And maybe, I think it's Zia who made the comment. It's the same question that you would ask the same question about, somebody on your team. If you have a BDR who has, there's macro conditions and they're not hitting their numbers, I think you would treat it the exact same way. So think about technology as a teammate. If all of your SDRs or all of your support people are having macro, conditions, or there's, a customer loses their mind on a call, like I think you would treat it the same way. I think there are situations where you think about these people or these cloud employees, these agents as teammates, and you say, hey, look, like you saw in the US, the job numbers were really terrible today. And so as a result, the market came down, buying behavior is going to change. And so you have to kind of compare, how would your SDR perform in that situation? Well, you might have to adjust quotas. A cloud employee, you may have to adjust their quota the same way. So really think about these as teammates. Yeah. I mean, any strong opinion against that?
No. Like I said, I think that's the way it's got to go. And I think again, you can see it in the shift in people's minds. It's going to be a little bit funky, I think, to get there. But you said it. The way we treat your BDRs, if there was a up and down in the economy, you'd probably treat your BDRs one way. You should probably treat your cloud BDRs the same way.
Well, and I want to hit one, and I know we're running tight on time. I just want to highlight this other kind of important point. We're going, there's this shift of like consumption pricing, and it feels better, but it's not better. Like when Salesforce said, hey, we're going to shift we have this token concept, which is supernatural for AI because AI has cost. Every time you hit an LLM, you're paying some amount of a token. And so it's this really comfortable place for the vendor to say, oh, I can still maintain my 80% software gross profit, and I don't have to. And then I'll just let my customers buy as many. It's like you said on the support side, you can buy as many, conversations as I want, but how do I predict my cost? Like, how do I know? Like, it doesn't make any sense. If I can just say, look, I pay a support rep X, and now I'm going to pay a cloud employee or an agent Y, it's fixed. It just becomes comfortable. So that other comment but it's interesting. One of the largest software companies in the world, Salesforce.com, it was a month ago, shifted their entire pricing model to this consumption model. So it just shows how fluid the market is right now. So it's just to me, it's a market indicator, and it's an interesting shift.
Yeah. That pricing thing will be interesting to see how it plays out because you have the LLMs charging per token, and we're used to just hiring employees, and so how do we, a lot of vendors, I'm going to pass that LLM cost on and put my margin on it. And then you get someone like me who's not smart, and I come and I'm like, You want me to do what? You have bands,
Right.
400 to 200,000 is 5 cents, 200,000 to 400,000 per resoluted conversation. What's your definition? Well, what's your definition? And all of a sudden, I'm like,
it's like,
it's getting confusing, but it'll be interesting to see how we bridge that gap. I like your suggestion of, certainly for me, of hiring the employee rather than kind of play the LLMs, because we kind of have two sides of the spectrum there. But Dave, appreciate the conversation. The post was awesome. We'll make sure people have it. I think it's been a great dialogue around the future of work and where we're going.
Well,
what's the leave behind as we kind of wrap today? What's kind of the advice or takeaway you give to the audience?
Yeah, look, the thing I would do is go be present in what's happening in the market. Like, go research, look on LinkedIn, look on the web, talk to your vendors, make sure you understand. There's so many new tools around AI that, are incumbent tools, Salesforce, HubSpot, whoever, like, they're bringing AI tools. Go basically research. My advice to everybody is engage in the conversation, demand outcomes. Don't get trapped into the, I'm buying for tokens.
Cool.
Get in the conversation. And if you have any ideas, reach out over LinkedIn, engage. Like, we're still engaging in that post comments. We'll probably do a follow-up post. We're still learning. It's not like you and I know the answer. So if you guys have ideas or concerns, or you're seeing things, I'd say reach out. Like, we're living in a weird time. So that's what I would say.
No, I love it. You have to be focused on outcomes. It's what you want. So stand by your ideas there. Cool. Dave, appreciate it. For the audience, have a fantastic day.